Hey, good afternoon. I'm not quite as charming as Jorge, and I tried to get my hair like that this morning, didn't work. So I'll just go ahead and go on with the presentation here. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some of the projects we've done in the El Paso district, innovative interchanges that we have going on. All of them actually have been implemented. And you ask, why do we need innovative interchanges? And a lot of it has to do with safety. Most of our conventional intersections really weren't designed to handle the volumes that we're getting these days with all the traffic and the population growth. And then you ask, the second part is we don't have that much money. I mean, we have Prop 1 coming, hopefully Prop 7 will go through. And so those are good chunks of money, but it's not going to be enough to solve every situation that you have out there. So we have to start looking at what's the best way to use our money and then save the big money for the projects that really need it with direct connectors. So there's one thing that all innovative interchanges have in common, and well, there's three things actually. So you get fewer conflict points when you implement one, you get significant before and after crash reductions, and that all leads to better safety. You also get reduced delay, reduced congestion, and that really is key to mobility. And then you get typically less right-of-way needed, you get a decreased construction cost and quick implementation, and that's really the value, the best bang for the buck. What they do is they eliminate and relocate and modify conflict points by improving the way traffic makes certain movements. So we're certainly going to list a few here. This is straight off of Federal Highways guidance on innovative intersections, but we're not going to talk about all of them because we'd be here all evening. So what we've done in the El Paso area is we've actually done the first two. They're implemented. The modern roundabout, we have several locations we'll be going through throughout the city. We also have a diverging diamond interchange. The bottom two, displaced left turn intersections, also known as continuous flow, and the median U-turn intersection. Those two actually aren't in the El Paso district, they're in the El Paso region. Our sister city, Ciudad Juarez in Mexico, actually has implemented these two types of interchanges. And so it tells you funding is not just a problem here, it knows no borders, it crosses over, and if you think we have funding issues, there are some issues in Mexico to fund their projects. Here's a location map of El Paso. If you've ever been there, if you ever want to go visit these projects, you'll find to the upper left on the screen, we have 3 roundabouts located there along the university perimeter, University of Texas at El Paso. Then you go to the bottom right of the screen, we actually have a double roundabout already in service, and that's in central El Paso. You go to the top right of the screen, we have a double diverging diamond interchange in far east El Paso. And then the lower left, you have the 2 innovative interchanges in Ciudad Juarez, Mexico, across the border.
I guess what we do is just drive around this circle here. It should be the second left exit. There's the hotel. Hey, look, kids! There's Big Ben and there's Parliament! Kids.
We know Big Ben.
Parliament. It's amazing. I cannot get left. There's Big Ben, kids. Parliament.
Okay, so if you're the Griswolds, you had a hard time trying to get through that, not a roundabout. That's a rotary, and so, you know, that's totally different than a roundabout. Roundabouts are actually pretty easy to get around, and even if you're Chevy Chase, you can do it. And really what they are is they're a type of circular intersection with yield controls for entering traffic. There's islands on the approaches, and they basically guide you with their curvature in the right direction and at a reduced speed. So if you look at the drawing here, first thing you got to do is slow down. You go down to about 50 miles an hour. As you're approaching the intersection here, you get yourself into the correct lanes. So if you want to make a right turn, or if you want to go through, you follow this blue path, just like a regular intersection. If you want to go through, make a left, or make a U-turn, you get on your left lane, and you follow these paths. Not very difficult. If every approach does that, you really minimize the the points of conflict. And there you have some of the considerations for a roundabout listed below, and we'll go through each one of those one at a time. The major thing is the conflict points. So improve safety, less conflict points. In this diagram, you're going to see 32 red dots there. On roundabout, you have 8. So those are potential conflict points. So every time a vehicle crosses a path of another vehicle in a traditional intersection, you can have a pretty severe accident there. With a roundabout, you only see 8 up there. So that's a very big reduction in conflict points. And then to top it all off, those conflict points on the roundabout are glancing blows because you're going in the same direction of traffic. So you reduce your head-on collisions, you virtually eliminate the T-bone type of crashes. So that's really the biggest benefit, is you're just reducing the conflict points. As you go down some of the statistics here, studies have shown that 90% reduction in fatalities, 76% reduction in all injuries, 35% reduction in crashes. Slower speeds are generally better for the pedestrian, 30 to 40% reduction in those type of incidents, and 10% reduction in bicycle crashes. So the last bullet there isn't really on safety, but while accomplishing all of this, you can actually get 30 to 50% more traffic through a roundabout. And so that's pretty amazing to improve safety and at the same time get more volume through. Here's some of the other reasons to use it. Efficient during peak hours and other times. As long as it's metered, it's going pretty well. You can use it at any time. Typically less delay. So that also reduces congestion. Then you get fewer stops and hard accelerations and less time idling. So that's good for the environment and reduces pollution. Here's the big one. You don't need signal equipment, power. It's low on maintenance. Smaller roundabouts require less right-of-way, so maybe your project doesn't have to wait some time to get the right-of-way acquisition going. And often there's less pavement. Remember, if in a roundabout you have your central island, that's not pavement. That could be an apron or that could be landscaping. So the actual square footage of pavement it could be less. And the other thing that the communities have found very interesting is that you can make it part of the neighborhood, and you can incorporate some aesthetics into it. So here we're going to go to that first top corner that was on the Google map earlier. And here's our first 3 attempts at a roundabout. These are all single roundabouts, and we're going to start with the middle one at Sumble Drive and University Avenue. Before we went out, this is kind of what people were saying. They thought we were crazy. They didn't know how to drive it, and everybody kept saying we're going to go around just like the Griswolds did. Well, here's the first location. It's to the top of the screen is the University of Texas El Paso. To the bottom of the screen is Interstate 10. If you note, there's one ramp coming in from the right to the left, Sunbull Drive. There's a light at that intersection right here. And so that was metering all the traffic. We're getting traffic backups all the way onto Interstate 10, backing up to our downtown area. So this is what it looks like afterwards. This was a 2009 in design project, 2011 completed. And as you can tell here, the roundabout's in place. We have a long ramp that we put in here. So what we did is we split up the traffic off the ramp back close to I-10, split it up. Now you have 2 ways to get to the university. I want to point out here that you can see a lot of parking lots, a lot of pedestrian traffic that can be generated from those parking lots. And pedestrians are not an issue for roundabouts. Here you see a nice shot of the roundabout. If you note the crosswalks here, they're set back a little bit from where you merge in the roundabout, and that's intended to give the vehicle time to stop in front, and the pedestrian can actually cross in back of you, so there's no surprises. And the vehicle behind that obviously will see the pedestrian in back of the other vehicle. Here you see what they call a splitter island, and that, as you can tell, has some geometry embedded in it, so it guides you in the direction. You're already steered towards that direction. You're not going to make the bad move. Of course, you can't eliminate everything, but for the most part, you've eliminated a wrong turn. And as far as aesthetics, the roundabout lends itself. We did not do any of the aesthetics that you can see on any of these projects. What happens is the community finds it really interesting, and they like to incorporate what fits best with stakeholders in the community in the area. In this case, the University of Texas El Paso put in a giant pick. Here's a second location, Sunbull Drive. And as you can see from this aerial, it's surrounded by traffic generators. You have Don Haskins Center, you have the Sunbull, you have Kit Field. And so all of these generate, there's concerts that go on, 100,000 people in Sunbull. You got your events going on at the same time sometimes. So what happens is we have a T intersection here, and it really was a nightmare trying to get out from this area. So we proposed a roundabout. And this is one halfway done, so you can see some of the construction phasing. Our area office did a great job keeping traffic moving during some of these events that still had to go on. So you keep it moving, and then it's completed. Again, here in this case, you see the same splitter island. You see the general radius for a multi-lane roundabout is about 180 to 220 feet. It can grow larger, depending on how many legs you have in the roundabout and depending on the geometry coming in. So as you can see here, it's pretty free-flowing. The pedestrian traffic here, the university had their own bicycle and pedestrian plan. So you're not going to see crosswalks here, which even makes it more efficient because the crosswalks are up here and down here leading towards the entrance to the Sunbull. And of course you can see that they incorporated another art piece in the center. So we got a little bit bored with just 2 regular roundabouts, so we decided on this third one here. And there was no intersection there, but we had a spur 1966 going in that was going to connect Schuster Avenue to a parallel roadway, US 85, that's off the screen. And it was going to connect here at a really bad curve. Again, you can notice all the parking areas. UTEP is a commuter school. There are a lot of people who drive to the university, and so this is, of course, going to generate pedestrian traffic trying to get on campus. Well, there you have the beginnings of the roundabout during construction. We don't have the spur built yet here, but as you can see how this works, it's a very nice, clean design. What was interesting about this one, when I said we got a little bit bored with the other one, is we raised the roundabout. The roundabout is a little bit higher than the parking lots. If you note these passageways here, we were expecting a lot of pedestrian traffic. So we didn't want to affect the efficiency of the roundabout, so we put the pedestrian path under the roundabout. You enter here, you exit here. If you need ADA facilities, you can go onto this parking garage. Has an elevator and you can cross right here. If you don't, there is a staircase up through the mountain and you go onto campus. So very clean design with pedestrians and vehicles. On the bottom here you have, this is actually a rendering and pretty close to what we built. I mean, it's almost identical. So again, technology helped us visualize it. It helped us go out to the public. And here's what you see today. Of course, the university does have plans for another art piece. We're looking forward, I think. I'm not sure where my boss is, but we're looking forward to see what's going to show up there. So here's a double roundabout. This is in central El Paso. So Jorge alluded to, I guess, a double tier. We do actually have a double roundabout already in service in El Paso. And there you go. Okay, so this is the intersection before. If you note on the top, I put question marks. I didn't know what to call it. I think it's a 5-point intersection with a bypass and frontage and multiple driveways along that area. But what I do know is it's very confusing to traffic and it's very difficult to sign. So we had to come up with a better solution. We had a project going in there that was about to just replace everything the way it is. We didn't think that was a good idea, so we came up with, we worked with some other districts on the San Antonio, helped us out a little bit, and did some brainstorming. And if you think it was hard for vehicles, pedestrians had a hard time crossing. There's no defined crosswalks. So we actually sent consultants out in field visits. And here's the paths that they were noticing on various days, at various peak hours. People were just crossing anywhere trying to get over to the retail center. There's a strip mall up here. There's a market here. There's a large residential area in the back. There's some apartment complexes here. And the new medical school is off to the left over there. And This is what was happening, is there's no way to get across that big mess. So people are just crossing all over the place. So with the double roundabout, we were able to solve two things. We were able to solve the confusion, although you might think this is confusing, it's really not. And with pedestrians, they had now a clear path to cross. Again, pedestrians now cross typically at the entrance of the roundabout. And so what we did is we put a pedestrian rail and guided them towards those areas so that everybody goes here to their shopping area, to the fast food places. And it's a lot more organized than what we have. You don't want pedestrians in the middle of it. And you know, every once in a while you'll get one out there. But for the most part, everybody is following the paths that we've set out. Here's a picture of the roundabout during construction. I have to mention to you all the most important thing. The other three were easy. It was around the university area. People were more receptive, open-minded, younger drivers. This project here it's in central El Paso. It's an older neighborhood. That intersection had been built upon, different things have been going on, and they were really just holding on tight to that old intersection. And we met a little bit of controversy. We got over that by the help of renderings, 3D models, 3D animations. Our Office of Public Involvement, Jefferson Grimes, if he's here, thank you so much. They put out some PSA, worked with us, and they put out some PSA videos, and we sent that to the news stations, and we had them at our meetings. And I don't know how many, we probably had 20 meetings with city reps and their communities, and it was not an easy process, but we got through it. So here's the finished product. And this is an actual aerial. It looks a little colored in, but this is actually what's out there. And as you can see, we had a big footprint. We didn't need any right-of-way, no right-of-way cost. What we were able to do is put in some really nice pedestrian areas. 10-foot sidewalks that a bike and a pedestrian can share. Different ways to get to the retail places. And then the best thing overall, we solved the traffic problem. Congestion is no longer there. Confusion, maybe a learning curve, I wouldn't call it confusion, but that's no longer there. We're able to get a lot of traffic through this interchange now, intersection. Just want to show you a really overview. The Texas Tech Medical School is up here. They're creating a walkable type campus, so we think it goes really well as it connects to this area, this neighborhood over here. Since we've put it in, we have not had very many complaints. There has been a learning curve. Some of the retail was not quite thrilled during construction. Our area office worked that out, and we were on to finishing it up, and it's open 100% to traffic right now. Made a little video, if you can push play up there. So other than the cheesy music, it went pretty well. So then we were done with roundabouts for a while, but we wanted to try something new. We had another location on East El Paso that had some issues going on. And so we thought a divergent diamond interchange might be appropriate for that. And so you ask, what is it? So a divergent diamond is a type of intersection. It connects the freeways with major highways. It's based on the traditional diamond interchange. The only difference is you're flipping traffic, you're crossing it over at the intersection. So for a little while, about 400 feet, you think you're in London, kind of like the Griswolds. But it has the same effects on points of conflict. Again, the way it improves safety is reducing points of conflict. On the left, you're looking at the points of conflict for a traditional diamond interchange. And on the right, you're looking at a reduced amount. It's not quite as few as the roundabout. But when you compare I think it's 26 here on a traditional to 14 on a DDI, you've made significant reductions in conflicts, and that means less accidents. The other thing that this does is it It does get rid of the through traffic, but since this was a diamond interchange with no frontage roads, there was very little volume going through, 1 or 2 a day. So that wasn't a big factor to go through here anymore. What it does do is it directs you so you don't go in the wrong way, in the wrong path, and you'll see that in some of the pictures. It reduces crashes and injuries by 60%. Again, slower speeds, just like the roundabout, and it's a pretty new concept in intersections these days. It's already on Google Maps. If you look it up, that's what it looks like on Google Maps. And so here's a before picture. This bridge here is only 7 years old. It's part of the end part of a design-build project. What happened was Fort Bliss kind of changed their mind, and they put their main entrance over here closer to the east side of El Paso. What it did is it drew all the volume to Loop 375. If you notice this dark path here, severe left turns. That's what DDI does. It solves severe left turns. Here's a rendering. We want to see what it looked like. We overlaid it onto the existing interchange. And we said, can we make this work? And really, it worked out really well. It's a 3-span bridge. Center span is about 130, type 4 beams. We have that all over the state. And we were able to overlay the pattern with the right geometry. And really all we did was remove some raised median and add some raised median and add some barrier in the center. Total cost, less than $1 million. And we have 2.5 times the capacity now through that interchange. We don't get backups onto our Loop 375 anymore. So best bang for the buck, not too bad for left turns. The other thing I'd like to point out on this is DDIs are relatively new. And so the first one was in Springfield, Missouri, I think it was sometime in 2010. Ours was in 2014. It's the first in Texas. I know Austin's working on one, but we got it first. So it's the first in Texas. It's the 38th in the nation. There's about 58 I think it is, in operation to date. There's a website, divergentdiamond.com, that tracks all of these. And we're listed there as number 38. And the great thing about this one is because we retrofitted it, it is the only one in the world that has Texas turnarounds. I don't think the Austin one has that, but you might add it now. But we left the Texas turnarounds in there. And we have not found any issues. It actually takes out some of the people who may want to make a U-turn. It takes them out of the queue, so it works well with it. So I think hopefully we'll keep that record for a while. And we made another video here, probably same cheesy music. These are the traffic cameras. We just want to see what it looked like at night, see what visibility was. This was not peak hour. This is more like peak hour. And the video is a little bit faster speed. So just to give you an idea what it is. So then we move on to a couple of intersections that we're looking at in El Paso, but our friends in Ciudad Juarez across the border have actually put these into place. This is a continuous flow, displaced left turn intersection. And the idea is you keep north and south. Let's say this traffic's running while you let this pocket fill up on the other side. When this turns red, you let the through traffic come through. This stops the traffic here, so you have the through movement and the left movement going at the same time, but no left turn conflicts. So again, in Mexico, they are strapped for money, just as we are sometimes. And so they found a creative way with no money to get more traffic through their intersection. And I don't have a lot of detail on this one, but Federal Highway does have some really good guidance on this. Just up the road in the same area, they tried a Michigan left, or it's a median U-turn type intersection. And on this one, it's a little bit clearer actually, is they don't allow left turns at the intersection. So if you want to make a left, you actually have to go through the intersection, go to these U-turns, and make your way back to where your destination is. Okay, we do that a lot with our Texas turnarounds. Maybe it's an idea to look at decreasing conflict points here, saving some lives. So again, some international flavor. They're looking at things that we're going to start looking at, trying to find some suitable areas to implement these and some other innovative intersections. So if you leave with anything that you learned here, is extensive public outreach. You got to have it. If you can't convince people, it's not going to happen. Invest in renderings. That's part of the public outreach. Don't penny pinch it. You'll save a lot more money on the intersection than you will on making renderings. Education for drivers and pedestrians. Our OPI office has always been helpful to us. They're there to help you come up with these PSAs. Positive publicity, push all the positive points, less conflicts, less conflicts. And I think you'll get through to the community. And the last one's pretty important. Make sure that you do clear and concise signing and striping. That's the way you're going to get through this. And that's all I have today. If you have any questions.